Hi everyone, thank you for joining us on the part 2 of our webinar Navigating COVID-19 Crisis. And this part we will approach the grounding, how to ground yourself and your emotions. I'd like to thank our 2020 partners, Local Logic, Breathe Life, Pay Safe, and Van Hacks for being really supportive for us. This is our next event series. We have part 3 and part 4 coming next week. On Monday, we have a workout session at noon, and Wednesday, a yoga session at noon as well. So feel free to join us if you feel like moving your body a little bit during these confinement days.
Yeah, and our mindfulness meditation, the time has changed.
Yes,
So
it's changed now. It's thank you, Mazdak.
8:30
Yeah.
for us that would like to sleep in. So maybe there's more chances to have more people.
Yes. Today's Mazdak will keep leading the webinar. I'm pretty sure you all know him, but he's a business and entrepreneurs coach, and he works with team to facilitate and make a better version of yourself, developing your leadership skills.
Wonderful.
Mazdak, now it's with you to guide the part 2 of our workshop.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank
Diego.
you.
It's I'm very grateful and appreciative to have you moderating our sessions.
Anytime.
And thank you so much for moderating this session as well. Welcome everybody coming from Quebec and Toronto joining us today. Thank you for your participation last time, and thank you for your participation today. As our friend Diego mentioned, this is the part 2 of a 4-part webinar series around navigating the COVID-19 crisis. And today we'll be talking about grounding. So this is going to be roughly our agenda for today. We'll go through the context and objectives for today's webinar. We're going to recap and touch point on the emotional mastery, which we covered in the part 1 webinar on Tuesday. We'll be going and diving deep into the grounding, and we will show you what to expect for part 3 and part 4, which are reassessing and planning and the creative action. And hopefully we'll have a few minutes at the end of the webinar for your feedback and for your questions and answers. So without further ado, make sure you have your notebook or a piece of paper, a pen, and a pencil, and your fully uninterrupted attention. As we know, working virtually and being on Zoom calls and webinars is very easy to try to multitask and do another email and watch a news release, and you won't get as much from the webinar if you're not participating. So your interactivity, your participation, your input is actually going to help you have a better experience with this webinar, and we can have a playfulness and a big smile on our faces. So let's start our webinars like always with some mindfulness practices. So wherever you are, I will invite you to sit comfortably. Make sure both of your feet is on the ground. Make sure your back is straight without creating any tension in your back. Make sure your head and neck is aligned with your back. And start deepening your breathing. You can also close your eyes if you wish to. Bring your attention fully to the quality of your breathing, and with each breath, try to deepen and take more air in. It's quite normal that some thoughts, emotions, distractions be present If that happens, put a big smile on your face and gently bring back your attention to your breathing. I would like to bring your attention to the sensations of the tip of your nose, the sensation of freshness when you take in the air, and the sensation of warmth when you take out the air. Bring your full attention to the sensation of temperature on the tip of your nose. If there are any thoughts present, gently bring back your attention to the sensation of your tip of your nose. Now I would like you to extend your attention through the sensations inside of your nose and the back of your throat as the air passes through them. Let go of any thoughts that might be present. Now gently put your right hand on your heart and find the beatings of your heart. In order to find that, you may have to adjust the position of your hand on your chest, or you might have to adjust the pressure of your hand to find the beating of your heart. Bring your full attention to the sensation of your heart beating. Now make an intention for the webinar that we are having today. Slowly deepen your breathing. On your third deep breath, gently let go of your hand and slowly open your eyes. And you can type in the chat box, "I am back." Wonderful. Thank you. So this webinar is for individuals, whether in a business setting, that would like to acknowledge and adapt to the new realities as they unfold, and they want to bring those qualities to their work and to their home. Let's do a quick journaling exercise. So with the notebook, with the journaling book that you have, and with a piece of paper you have, write down, what are you observing about your emotions? What are some of your superhero powers? What is one thing you are thankful and grateful today? And if you could significantly improve one thing as a result of this webinar, what could that be? So I'll give you guys a good minute and a half. So wherever you are with your journaling, that's a wonderful place. Opportunity for you to finish this journaling after the webinar, and we can move on. So our first question of the day, what would you like to get out of this webinar today? And you can type in the chat box, and our friend Diego is going to read those, and I'm going to take notes actually. So go right ahead and write down what do you desire of this webinar today.
Techniques to really ground myself and stay that way.
Yes.
Techniques to be grounded and stay grounded. Same.
Yeah.
Yes, we all want the same things.
We all want to be grounded. Okay, good.
How to help others become grounded?
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful question. Yeah. And I'm not sure who asked for that, but if we do not answer that, make sure you ask that question at the end of the webinar. That way we'll make sure to address that. Okay, wonderful. Let's do that. So what is happening right now? We talked about it in the previous webinar. We are going through a very unique situation. Probably the most particular type of situation we had in 100 years. We're going through this human experience that is out of extraordinary, extreme, it's out of proportion. We're dealing with ideas of confinement, self-isolation. There's a lot of anxiety and worries around our health of loved ones, health of our parents. A lot of stock markets have collapsed. A lot of us lost our contracts, lost our ways of earning money. Some of us got laid off, and there's a lot of anxieties around the future. There's a lot of uncertainties. We don't know how long this is gonna take for us. So we live in a situation that there's a lot of doubt, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of new realities that unfold day by day. And that brings a lot of anxieties, and those anxieties bring fear, and we get hijacked. And once we are hijacked, we are in a panic mode. And once we are in a panic mode, unfortunately, the decisions we make are not good decisions. The actions we take are not good actions, and we're not in a very good and fulfilling place to be able to think clearly and make good decisions for ourselves, for our loved ones, and also for our businesses as well. The good news is that the cat into navigating and being able to go through this crisis successfully starts with you and ends with you, and only you. And the reason for it is because you are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. You have all the resources, all the tools, and all the forces and strengths you need to be able to navigate through these uncertain times. The catch is, the idea is, how can we tap into our resiliency, our confidence, and how can we stay calm and grounded in all of that? We talked about it last time very quickly. So it takes two things. These two things you absolutely must do in order to be successful. So you must face the challenges head on. You cannot avoid them. You cannot let the things go their course. You cannot have this wishful thinking that ça va aller, everything will be fine. No. You need to identify the challenges, and you need to face them heads on, deliberately and intentionally. And you must have this faith and belief in yourself that you are able to figure things out no matter the external situation that is because you are creative and you are resourceful and you have the faculties in order to be able to figure things out. So hopefully at the end of this webinar today, you will come up with a feeling of optimism, of calm, of confidence, in which you can exude to others, to your colleagues, to people that you interact with. And you're also able to understand what is your initial mindset and be able to shift it to a mindset and perspective that can serve you much better, and you will feel more grounded and focused and less distracted, which is very important in these times. At the end of the day, this 4-part webinar series and whatever we're trying to do is to answer this inquiry question for us: who are we becoming at times of crisis and uncertainty? Who are we being? What type of leaders are we? What type of a father and mother, and what type of a friend and colleague and leaders of our community we are becoming and we're being when things are uncertain and at times of crisis. So in order to help you guys with that, and given that I am coming from a background of engineering and working in business, we created a 4-step process in which will guide us through this this venture. And the 4 parts are first, emotional mastery, how to understand and notice our emotions, how to find out whether we are hijacked by these emotions, and how to get out of that hijacked and panic mode, the fight and flight and freeze mode that we talked about in the past webinar. So that's absolutely necessary as the first part. Secondly, how can we get grounded? How can we, and that's something that today we're gonna go and touch deeply. And once we have got rid of that emotional drowning and we were able to shift our mindset and ground ourselves, now it's about reassessing and planning. So what do I do? What do I keep? What do I not keep? And get into action. Get into action that comes from a source of creativity, not a reaction that is coming from fear or from other type of emotions. Emotional mastery, we discussed about it last time. Let's do the exercise again. I really like this exercise. So let's ask the question, first of all, what are some of the emotions that are present for you at this very moment? And if you remember, naming of the emotion was very important. And we have certain of us, especially people from technical background and engineering, having difficulty naming our emotions. So we have this wonderful wheel of emotions that can help us. So take a moment and check in with yourself. What emotion is present for you right now? And you can type in the chat box, and as the answers come in, I'll ask Diego to read them for us.
Trust.
Yes, yes. What other emotions are present?
Interest.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
That's all we have.
No more emotions. Yeah. But the interesting is there, Diego, comparing to last time, you know, the first webinar we gave, you can see the shift in the emotions as well.
That's true.
Last time there was a lot of anxiety and annoyance and boredom and a lot of that, and now that has shifted. That is good news, actually.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We have more positive emotions, even though I don't like use that word.
Yeah. yeah. True. Okay, so let's do the exercise. I want you guys to pick one of the emotions that was very present for you, especially if that was an emotion that was uncomfortable. Let's say it was more like a anxiety or fear or anger. Take a moment to feel that emotion. And now let's do the exercise. So if you guys remember, the first thing in the presence of emotions is to breathe. That's the most important thing. Number two, it is to acknowledge that something's happening in my body. I am feeling something without judging it, without saying that, oh, is it a good emotion or is it a bad emotion? Whether I want it, I don't want it. And without denial either, like, let the emotion be, And now try to name the emotion. So this is that I'm feeling. Is that frustration? Is that anger? Is that fear? What is it? So naming the emotion is 50% of the work. And now let's do some mindfulness repetitions. Hello. Rub two of your fingertips together with the tension that you can feel the ridges of each of your fingertips. Bring your attention fully to the feeling of the touch on each of your fingers. Now slowly use all the fingertips of one hand and rub them against the fingertips and the palm of the other hand. Observe all the sensations in both of your hands. And now you can slowly let go. So this very, very simple and easy exercise, going through that 4 steps, will allow you to come out of that emotion, not being hijacked by that emotion, and being able to observe the emotion. The analogy I use is, let's say if anger was a very violent river and you were drowning it. So you are in the river and you're struggling to get your head up with that frustration and anger that is that. This exercise makes you to come on the bank and the coast of the river and now see that anger flow in front of you and become an observant rather be somebody that you are drowned in. And as I mentioned before, also, of course, this works. This works very efficiently, and I suggest you guys do that. Even if you have a interview, or if you want to do a public speaking, or if you have a difficult conversation, you can do the same exercise before going to that event. However, be mindful that if it's a very big event, like if it's the health of a loved one, if it's like, you lost your job, this exercise might not be able to help you. You may need to do what we call process coaching or emotional coaching, or you may even have to consult a therapist. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So your inquiry question is, what are you noticing about yourself while you observe your emotions? So I want you to maybe take a screenshot of this page and take that as an inquiry for yourself for the next couple of weeks. What do you learn about yourself when you observe your emotions? An example being, if I have a meeting and the person doesn't show up on time, so I get frustrated and I get angry. And if I'm able to do the exercise, and if I ask myself, so where does this anger or where does this frustration come from? It will point into me having this value of respecting other people's time, or having this value of keeping your promises. And at that situation, I feel that the other person disrespected the promise, or disrespected my time. As a result, I get into that emotion of anger and frustration. So something that was quote unquote negative turned into a source of information for me to teach me about myself and my values. Wonderful. Diego, are there any questions or any comments before we move on?
There's a comment. I'm too quick to act sometimes, thus get myself in some sticky situations. So I need to use the breathe technique to have time to reflect, then act. But man, it's hard.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I hear you. It is not easy, you know, especially in business setting, because you need to act sometimes very fast. But that breathe, I like just 2 deep breaths. It will make a huge difference. Wonderful. Thank you for the comment. So quick recap. Be mindful of emotional hijacking. Identify when you're hijacked. Identify what triggers you. That's a great inquiry we did last time too. So, you know, for some people, a slow driver is a trigger. For some people, a person who's not punctual is a trigger. For some people, micromanaging is a trigger. So identify what are your emotional triggers as well. News these days, oh my God, like watching the news 24/7, those are huge triggers these days. So identify them, and then once you feel that you're being hijacked, wonderful. Do the steps, do the exercise, do the breathing, do the mindfulness practice. And don't forget to breathe, please. Wonderful. Let's get into the grounding part. So the idea is, first and foremost, we need to pause. We need to slow down. So if you want to go fast, you need to slow down first. You need to create that space of introspection, that space of checking in with yourself before getting into action, before getting into decisions. And for each person, that moment of pause or that slowing down might be a different thing. For some people, it's just a 2-minute thing. For some people, it's 2 days. For some people, they need take 2 weeks really off and take the pause in order to be able to ground ourselves. So one of the first things that we will ask is, what is the mindset that we are initially stuck with? So let me ask the question. You can put that in the chat as well. So what was one of your initial responses? And that will guide you into what initial mindset you were stuck in at the beginning.
Definitely stopped watching the news. What to do next?
Yeah. So that mindset. Okay, I need to be doing something. I need. What is it I need to do? Yeah. You know, some people get to the initial mindset of scarcity, of, oh my God, I won't have enough money. What about my finances?
How to stop reacting?
Yeah. That agitation, you know, that initial mindset of agitation.
Should I try to be productive or not? A bit of both. I haven't found the answer in a few weeks in.
Yes, absolutely. So that mindset of doubt, that mindset of, you know, okay, should I be doing things? Should I be not? Yeah, wonderful. Great. So what happens initially in these times of crisis and stuff is we get consumed what we call our saboteurs. Those are those negative voices. Those are those gremlins. Those are those in French we say bibit that come and you're not good enough. You're not doing enough. You know, the stock markets, you could be making a lot of money. Oh, you know, you could be, you know, taking this opportunity. So a lot of saboteur voices that you're not good enough, and judging the situation, judging your partner, judging other people. So it's a land filled with this type of negative and unserving voices. So it's very important to be conscious of that. and to be able to name them. And some of the ways we can find out whether we are in that saboteur land, whether we are operating from that space of scarcity and limitation, is what were some of our initial responses. And those give us some hints about, you know, our initial reaction. That gives us some hints about what were we thinking and what were we operating from. One of the questions, what is the lie we're telling ourselves? I was having a conversation with a client, and he right away said, oh, you know what? This is not a time, nobody will hire at this time. I don't know. I don't know the truth in it. So what is the truth in it, actually? You know, what is the lie you're telling it? What is the limiting belief? You know, at this point, nobody would need my services, or nobody would need what I do. I'm not an essential person. Says who? What is the limiting belief behind that? And how does it feel staying in that mindset? That's a very good indication, because usually you're not feeling good. When you are operating from a point of scarcity and limiting beliefs and a saboteur land and grimness, usually your body is going to tell you you're not feeling well. Yeah. And how does this perspective serve you? If you're really in a perspective of financial scarcity and every decision you're making is from that, how does that serve you? How does that make you see other opportunities? How does that affect your decisions and actions? So these are very good questions, and you can take a screenshot of this in order to check in with self for your initial mindsets. So in order for us to be able to get out of that initial response and initial mindset, we need to do something. And this comes from a Buddhist philosophy. We need to accept the reality as it is, not the wishful thinking, not it should have been. You know, the government should have, instead of paying individuals, should have paid the corporations so corporations could keep the employees. We don't control that. You accept the, like, you know, the 14-day period of incubation of COVID-19. We don't control that. That is the reality. And how can we accept the reality as it is? And asking these two questions help us very much in accepting the reality. What do I control? What do I not control? And this brings us to this wonderful idea that comes from this book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's called The 3 Circles of Control. And guess what? We're going to do this exercise here and now. So in your papers, in your journaling book, draw 3 circles. The first circle is going to be what I have control. The second circle is going to be what I have influence. And the third one is I have no control. Let me help you with some examples. What do I have control on? I have control on what I watch and what I don't watch. What news I make myself exposed to, what I don't. I have control on my, daily habits. I have the control on whether I do sports or I don't do sports. What I have influence on, it's a little bit trickier, is that I don't have a direct control, but I can influence a little bit. For example, if a decision that my partner makes, obviously I don't have control on that, but I could maybe influence that decision. Or a conversation that I have with my boss, I may not have control on that, but I may have some influence on it. And what I have no control on, everything else. If Bombardier has laid off 6,000 people, I have no control on that. If the COVID-19 incubation is 14 days, I have no control on that. So I want you guys to take a good minute and a half and try to write in each of these 3 circles. And once you're done, you can type it in the chat box. But this is a wonderful, wonderful exercise. You can slowly start typing in the chat box. What is it you control? What is it you have influence? What is it you have no control on?
This is a thought exercise for me.
Sorry?
This is a thought exercise for me.
This is a tough exercise for me. Okay. Could you let us know what is difficult for you?
I feel like I have very little control over anything.
I implore you to do the exercise and start writing, and you will see, yes, philosophically speaking, we have little control, but we have a lot of control on our own, pardon my language, shit.
I have control over the use of my time every day, all day, which is something new for me.
Yes, yes, wonderful, wonderful. What else? What are some things you have influence on, but not direct control? What are some things you have no control on?
Thinking about different levels of control over things, I control what I do with the day.
Sorry, what I control over what?
Thinking about different levels of control over things, I control what I do with the day.
Yes, yes, wonderful, wonderful. It's a great, great point that you bring, is that yes, we're doing this exercise in the context of this crisis and stuff, but you can do it in the context of any project. If your boss gives you a project and he says run with it, and you're all stressed and you're like, are overwhelmed, do these 3 circles. What about this project? What are the things I control? Is it the budget? Is it the resources I control? What is that I don't control? Like, I don't know, the marketplace or my procurement or something. So this is an exercise you can do in all of your objectives, in all of your projects. And one of our friends mentioned earlier is like, how can I help other people to get grounded? This is a wonderful exercise. You can ask your friends, ask your colleagues, ask your subordinate to actually do this exercise. Wonderful.
I have control. I can choose my personal projects instead of tagging along other people's project.
Exactly. I have control to say yes to what, and I have control to say no to what. Yes, absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes.
How I communicate.
Yes. You have completely control on how you communicate. You cannot control what the people perceive it, but how you send the message, how you communicate, you have full control on that. Wonderful. So I really implore you guys to take this exercise seriously and complete it after the webinar and share it with your friends. This is
we have another one. Do we have time to read that?
Yes.
I have control of the work I do. I have influence on the conversations I have with people. I have no control of how people might react. Though I try to control that, but must not make it my responsibility.
Beautiful. I love it. We do not own other people's emotions. We do not control other people's reactions. This is a beautiful thing to know. It puts us so much at ease. I communicate, I do my things. People's emotions belong to themselves. They need to take their webinar of emotional mastery. I I don't own that. Wonderful, wonderful. Doing this exercise, accepting the reality as it is, will allow you to do the shift. What is the shift? What are we talking about the shift? So we were in an initial mindset that usually was coming from a place of scarcity, limitation, limiting beliefs. We want to shift it to something that is an ideal mindset that will allow for us to see the possibilities and see the opportunities. What could be a mindset that could be in service for us? And it could be that mindset of your superhero. You remember, we journaled about that this morning. How would Superman react? What would Superman think about that? What would a 5-year-old child in a sandbox see things? So these are all different type of mindsets. There are mindsets that could serve you. So you could ask the question, what is it I need to do? Where is it that I need to venture that I didn't go? What was the things that I was avoiding? What are these new belief systems that I want to take in that's going to be in service to me? That is what we call the mindset of our inner sage or our inner leader. We all have that. And that is the mindset of focus, compassion, certitude. That is almost becoming that Jedi Knight of ourselves. So for each of us, it could be, for some of us it's Jedi Knight, for some of us it's like a sailor, for some of us it's a Bugs Bunny. But what is it for you? What is the mindset shift for you that you can take in that will open up possibilities and open up opportunities for you? Are we having comments, Diego?
Something to be aware, as it can be draining. Codependency is thought to heal from worth it.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Something to be aware, as it can be draining. Codependency is thought to heal from worth it.
Yes.
You're recovering codependent here.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the exercises that could really help us is today, right now, what resources is available to me? As I mentioned to you guys, everyone here, you have 100% track record of success. If we were to listen to your life stories, you all have you had big challenges that you were able to overcome, whether, you know, a lot of us were LGBT people going through that coming out type of scenarios, a lot of us immigrants coming from foreign lands and making a life for ourselves here, a lot of us have degrees, MBAs and masters and PhDs and all of that. So we all have 100% track record. Let's look back to what did we use, what did really help us to overcome the challenges that we have. What of those resources can we replicate? What is it available as far as resources to us right now, whether internal to us or external to us? So I would like you guys to do a little exercise here and write down what is that is a resource that is available to you right now, and list them. And you can say whether that's internal to you or whether that's an external resource. And let's hear from some of you on the chat about these resources.
Time, books, MASDAC, network, drive.
Yeah. Which one of them are internal? Which one of them are external?
It doesn't say. It just lists.
Okay. Wonderful. No, but beautiful. That's beautiful.
External, my friends, family, webinars, reading.
Wonderful.
Drive is internal.
Drive is definitely internal. Yeah. Beautiful. What else?
Internal, my determination to better myself and my life.
Yes, my resolve. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Great. So you see, you guys are resourceful. You have tons of resources available to us. If you enlist them, if you search into them, it's really there. And this is an exercise. I want you guys to take it for home. So take a screenshot of this. List 3 people who really inspire you. It could be people close to you, like your father or mother or brother or sister, or it could be people far from you. I don't know, Martin Luther King or Simon Sinek or Brené Brown. Those are mine. And also list 5 people you could call at 5 a.m. if you needed something. And you know, if they are in the same city, they will be willing to come and take care of you. And if they are outside of the city, they are willing to hear your voice on the phone. You know, if you had a nightmare or something and you want to talk to someone, list these 5 people. It makes a big difference that you feel that you're not alone. You have also people around you that care about you. Wonderful, wonderful. And that's a very good exercise to do. And generally speaking, we're not going to touch on this because this is its own webinar here, is we generally feel satisfied, happy, and grounded when we are operating from a place of strength, from our forces, when we are operating from our values, our essence, and when we are doing our passion. And this is some discovery coaching, and there are other webinars that we can touch on these 3 important things. Usually we are very grounded in these areas. So recap of the chapter, pause. You're not, by going fast right away while you're hijacked and while you're not grounded and while you're not in a good mindset, you're not serving anyone. Slow down, take a pause, find out what that pause means for you. Is that a 2-hour thing? Is that a 2-day thing, 2-week thing? Whatever it is, take that time for yourself. Check in with self, what mindset you're operating from right now, and how is that mindset serving you or not? So if you are operating from a mindset of fear of losing my money and my health, well, guess what? Your decisions are going to be informed by that mindset. In order to be able to shift that mindset, accept the reality as it is. Find out what you control, what you don't control, what is the facts, and what is it, the things that you can, have a say about and control and influence. Do the mindset shift. What other mindset would be of service to you? Is it a mindset of your inner sage, an inner leader, inner Jedi? Is it a mindset of your superpower and superhero? Is it a mindset of the people who inspire you? You know, what would Steve Jobs think about this situation? That could be a mindset. And what are my resources? List them. List all of your resources, and where are the areas that I can operate from my strengths, from my values, from my passions. So as I mentioned, those are your exercises on the left. Take a screenshot of this. So take the time, do the mindfulness repetitions, answer all the inquiries in this webinar, do the circles exercise. Coaching tools that are available to you is that mindset coaching, how to shift the mindset from that mindset of limitation to the mindset of the leader, inner leader, and inner sage. There's saboteur tests to find out what are the voices of our saboteurs that are in head, what is the voice of that judge, of that person that says you're not good enough. And also we do discovery workshops to find out what are your strengths, what are your values, what are your passions. Suggested readings, further readings, the book 4 Agreements. There are a few books that really changed my life and transformed me. The 4 Agreements, and in French they call it Les 4 Accords de Toltec. That's a wonderful book. The book The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is a classic. The book Positive Intelligence, to come in touch with our inner leader, understand our saboteur voice, plus all of those mindful reps are here. For those of you guys are a little bit more spiritual, in the lines of Eckhart Tolle, The New Earth is a very good book. And also the book by Viktor Frankl, A Holocaust Survival, Man's Search of the Meaning. Wonderful book. That was also a very transformative book for me. So you can take a screenshot of this page and have it. Good. So what this brings us to the end of the grounding. Just what to expect in part 3 and part 4. Part 3 is when we did our emotional mastery and we got rid of that hijacking. We grounded ourselves. Now it's the time to understand what does it take for us to take the lead. What does it take to us to navigate the crisis and the change there. So what is primary? What is current state? What is the ideal state? What is the secondary state? And how are we going to get over that edge? It is for us also not to be consumed by little details and little weeds, but also see the big picture of things, of a helicopter view of things. Finding out what are our risks, what are our vulnerabilities, and how to mitigate those. Not from a mindset of scarcity and limitation, but from a mindset of reality. Okay, in reality, I can survive 4 months with my finances. So what do I do about that? Make decisions, the big yeses and the no's, do analysis. For businesses, we do a different analysis called the SOAR analysis that we do for businesses, and understand, so what is my why? What is my vision? What are my goals? What are my objectives right now, 6 months from now, when the whole thing is over, and 2 years from now? And put very clear, clean, small, simple planning, none of those Gantt charts. And once we have that planning, let's act on that. And the idea is, let's act from a space of creativity, innovation, and possibility. This challenge has brought us a lot of problems, a lot of issues that need to be solved. We grounded people and resourceful people are best suited to find this solution. So let's use our creativity and innovation to get those solutions. Let's put wonderful daily habits and rituals that can keep us grounded and keep us going and keep us creative and innovative throughout the day, rather than being consumed by binge watching of Netflix and 24/7 cable news. Understand that human imagination is the ultimate resource. And in order for us to be able to tap to that imagination, we need to be mastering our emotions, we need to be grounded, and we need to see the big picture. It's not going to be easy, trade-offs are tough, but you are able to do it because you are resilient. You have access to that self-agency and self-command. Understand that being thankful, gratefulness, those self-affirmations, mindfulness practices, and serving from the heart, really serving from the heart, are the antidotes of fear, of anxiety, of doubt, of all of this. So anytime you get to that fear and doubt and stuff, mention what are you grateful for. Do some of those mindful practices. Do some self-affirmations. Include all of those exercises in your daily habits. Put some meditation. You know, Queer Tech is providing some meditation for you guys. You're not alone. You have help. You have people around you. You have Queer Tech here that supports. You have me. You have Diego. We are here to help you. I would love for you guys to pick up the phone, have a conversation. Each of your stories is going to be a wonderful story that you have. I want to hear your struggles. I want to hear your yearnings and your desires, and I want to be there for you to help you. Also, if you feel that if you have colleagues, if you have clients, if you have family members, that this webinar series will help them. For now, we're giving it for free, so we can take use of it. So contact me if you want us to bring this webinar to your workplace or to give it to people that you love for. So on that note, I'll hand it back to Diego. We have 4 minutes for any feedback, any questions, any answers.
Thank you, Mazdak. That was great. It's very it's very good to see you talking and people interacting with you. We came to realize that we have all those struggle with emotions in common. Thank you.
So if you guys have questions, that would be the time. And also, if you have any feedback for us, because Diego knows this is the third time we're giving this, and it doesn't look like anything like the first time we gave it. Because of you and because of your wonderful feedback, we readjusted and we changed these webinars.
People are thanking, gained great insight on grounding. Love the interaction methods, keep that up. Looking forward for next week. It's useful to hear other people answer, example, resources available to one, much more than I would have thought.
Yeah, that's a wonderful comment. And that not two webinars we give are the same, because you guys are co-designing that and co-creating the information with us. And so the participation and the input of our friends, our colleagues, really enrich this the conversation, the information that is shared. And yes, wonderful comment. If there are no more questions or comments, we can do a very quick mindfulness practice. This time it's going to be with the sound. So wherever you're sitting, if you have an earphone, please take one of your earphones off and start noticing the sounds and noises that are in your environment. Without judging them, whether it's a good noise or it's a bad noise or it's like nice or it's not, no judgment. What are the farthest sounds you hear? What are some of the closest sounds in your environment that you hear? I bet you're hearing a lot of things you couldn't hear before. So reconnect to the intention you made at the beginning of this webinar, and you can open your eyes. I let Diego continue our... Yeah.
Thank you, Mazdak. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Stay tuned to our next event series. Friday, tomorrow, we have mindfulness practice at 8:30. Next week, we have parts 3 and 4 on Tuesday and Thursday. And also on Monday and Wednesday at noon, we have workout session and a yoga session. Thank you so much. If you want to volunteer for Queer Tech, you can reach out to Guy or Naufel for positions like social media, content writing, or web development. If, as Mazdak said before, if you find that this webinar is useful for someone you know, for one of your colleagues, or some company that you work for, do not hesitate to reach him out. Thank you very much and have a good day, everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mazdak.
See you Tuesday at noon.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.